Zaffer presents Guilty by Definition, written by Susie Dent and read by Louise Brealey.
Thank you so much for choosing to listen to Guilty by Definition. This is my very first foray into fiction, and I feel decidedly betwittered, aka overcome by pleasing but nervous excitement. I've worked with dictionaries my whole life, but the making of them can be a total mystery to outsiders. Who decides what goes into their pages, and how do they choose? I wanted to open up that world a little, but also to add another unexpected level of mystery. I've long been aware of the underbelly of language, the unexpectedly dark side of words like thrill, which originally meant to pierce someone with a sword. What if there was a dark side to the people who document that language? What are the motivations and secrets of the dictionary makers themselves? The first thing that came to me was the title. Definition is a powerful word. We look to define every aspect of life as we navigate it, and we are constantly defining and redefining ourselves. Each of these definitions is expressed through words, and those words in turn are given definition in a dictionary. I began to consider a mystery that can only be solved through the unravelling of language, one that forces a group of lexicographers to be far more than simple word detectives. The story is set in the bones of Oxford, a city I love, and explores its darker corners as well as its brightest famous ones. It all begins with one letter, addressed to the editors of the Clarendon English Dictionary, that hints at a long-held secret within the team. When they manage to crack the anonymous letter writer's initial code, the editors begin to realise just how much is at stake, especially for Martha, the senior editor, whose family is foundering in the wake of a tragic event that has defined every day since. What follows is a trail of linguistic clues that promises to lead to the truth, but at what cost? I would love this audiobook to make you think differently about the words we use and where they come from. At its heart is the question of whether we can ever predict how language and life will evolve, and who are the real gatekeepers of our words. Above all, I would love Guilty by Definition to be a distraction from a world we sometimes struggle to define. Betwitterment aside, I'd be delighted if, at the end, you feel just a tiny bit finifugal, not wanting its story to end. I'll be back at the end of the audiobook to chat with Jack Edwards, the author and content creator. For now, though, I really hope you enjoy the story.
Chapter 1. Quaesitum, noun, 17th century. That which is searched for. The day the first letter arrived was warm for the time of year. A Thursday in late April, when Oxford was at its most charming, the sunlight washing over the buttery sandstone of the college buildings, their spires looking obligingly dreamy against a pale blue sky. Easy to love the city in the sunshine, unless, of course, you were one of the students contemplating their upcoming finals. In a few weeks they would be hurrying towards the examination schools in the regulation attire of black gowns known as subfusk, long and billowing for scholars, shorter and skimpier for commoners, chattering like jittery magpies. When Martha Thornhill had been appointed senior editor at the Clarendon English Dictionary 6 months earlier, she had quickly discovered that a desk overlooking the street was one of the perks of the job. She wasn't convinced it was an advantage to her employer, however. Too often, when she looked away from her screen to try and think her way through a word or tweak a definition, she found her attention snagged by a passing figure on the pavement. A girl with long blonde hair, head down and walking fast. A young man, hands in his pockets, at ease with himself and his future. An older couple, arm in arm, enjoying a stroll past the grand frontage of the dictionary's offices, pausing to look up and catching her eye. She'd look away guiltily, knowing she'd been caught wool-gathering yet again. Berlin, where she'd spent the last 10 years learning her trade as an editor, had felt starkly different. History pressed up against you more urgently there, its upheavals and reinventions so recent they seemed to linger in the air and give the city a restless energy. In Oxford, the history had settled into the fabric
Sample complete. Ready to continue?